Yeah, Afro Asiatic. Yeah, of Shemitic descent. Yeah, Uzi Yahoo. Yeah, come on. Afro Asiatic. Yes. Yes. Of Shemitic descent. Let's go. Afro Asiatic, step up in the place. Break your sis on, essence in the place. She loves Somali rolls to see it on her face. If I switch up the mode, I can get her to stay. She love the Don Perignon and the fish fillet. I told her that I'm vegan, try it my way. We whipping in the foreign like every day. She speaking to me foreign, I like what she say. Camilla ha, maka I, or deny nay. That's how she do it, it's the Afro Asiatic way.
This is Uziyahu Ben Yehuda, aka the Shemitic African. Afro Asiatic Hebrew Israelite of Shemitic descent. Official disclaimer. We don't believe in racism, hate, but we do discriminate between righteousness and wickedness. We don't believe or have a religion. We are an Afro Asiatic Hebrew Israelite nation of Shemitic descent, which consists of 12 tribes of Israel that were scattered amongst the four corners of the earth. We follow Zedekiah, righteousness. We accept and believe in the blessing from the Creator when He said, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." Righteous marriage, monogamy, and polygyny is a necessary tool to birth our nation and to have abundant and quality of life. We believe that the African Edenic continent includes what we may call the Middle East, including Israel, and that Africa, Eden, is not just comprised of Hamitic descents, but Shemitic descents as well. We believe in the awareness, justice, and the sovereignty of the Afro-Asiatic Hebrew Israelite nation of Shemitic descent to return back to our sovereignty/kingdom, context, mind, language, land, clothing, expression, food, culture, government, economy, Torah, education, love, Yahweh, and righteousness, Zedekiah. This is Uziyahu Ben Yehuda, aka the Shemitic African, as we say in the Afro-Asiatic Hebrew Israelite language. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom. Welcome back. The first video, that was part one. With what I'm recording on, it only records up to 15 minutes. So I had to do a part two. So this is part two. It's called "What is Afro-Asiatic Hebrew Israelite of Shemitic Descent" by Uziyahu Ben Yehuda. So I'm going to pick back up where I left off. What is Afro-Asiatic? Afro-Asiatic is a noun, is a large family of languages spoken in northern Africa and southwest Asia, comprising the Semitic or Shemitic, Chadic, Cushitic, Berber, Omotic, and ancient Egyptian languages, formerly known as Hamito-Semitic. You can look that up at the Free Dictionary. So, Afro-Asiatic, a large family of related languages spoken both in Asia and Africa. All right. And you see the different breakdowns: Afro-Asian languages, Afro-Asiatic language. It says natural language tongue, a human written or spoken language used by a community, opposed to a computer language. Chadic language, Chad, a family of Afro-Asiatic tonal languages, mostly two tones, spoken in the regions of west and south of Lake Chad in north central Africa. Shemitic, a major branch of the Afro-Asiatic language family. Hamitic, a group of languages in northern Africa related to Semitic or Shemitic. Egyptian, the ancient and now extinct language of Egypt under the pharaohs. Written records date back to 3000 BC. Berber, a cluster of related dialects that were once the major language of northern Africa west of Egypt, now spoken mostly in Morocco. Cushitic, a group of languages spoken in Ethiopia and Somalia and northwestern Kenya and adjacent regions. Omotic, a group of related languages spoken in a valley of southern Ethiopia, closely related to Cushitic languages. All right, world families, Afro Asiatic. As you see Africa, you see Arabia. Now, before the Suez Canal and back in the day, because Israel is actually on the African tectonic plate. African tectonic plate. But Africa and Arabia used to be considered as Africa, and it's kind of interesting where you see the world language families is going from Arabia to Africa, because all of that is Africa right there. All right, the 6 major Afro-Asiatic language groups, which includes Semitic or Shemitic. As you see, the Afro-Asiatic, you see the Berber, the Northern and the Eastern, you see the Chadic, you see the Cushitic, Omotic, Semitic, and Egyptian. Let's look at the Shemitic or Semitic. You see the Southern, you have Yemen, you have Ethiopia, you have Eritrea, you have Ge'ez, you have Tigray, and you have Tigrinya. Then Central, you have Iraq, you have Syria, you have Israel, you have Arabic, Hebrew, and Syriac. So, like, you have those in Ethiopia, Eritrea, that are actually Shemitic. They're not Hamitic. They're not Hamitic. And then you have those in Central, which is us, which is the Hebrews. You have Arabic, you have Hebrew, and you have Israel. What is the African tectonic plate? The African plate is a major tectonic plate straddling the equator as well as the prime meridian. It includes much of the continent of Africa as well as oceanic crust, which lies between the continent and various surrounding ocean ridges. Check this out. The African tectonic plate. The African tectonic plate includes Israel as a part of Africa. Look, you see the Arabian plate, but where the red is going on the left side of the red, that's Africa. And on the left side of that red cutoff, Israel is on that side. So Israel is an African nation. It's a African people. It's on the African tectonic plate. As you can see, you see that, you see both. You see, again, you see on the left side of the boundary, that's Israel. Israel is Northeast Africa and sits on the African tectonic plate. All right, now, there's a video on YouTube. It's called Northeast Africa, The Hidden Truth. You see Egypt, you see Israel, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Yemen. You see that this is the hidden truth, that Northeast Africa, that Israelite, Egypt, and with the Middle East, that's actually Africa. It's Northeast Africa. So here's a 2-minute clip. I want us to listen to this, and then if I run out of time, we'll make a part 3. Let's listen. So Israel is Northeast Africa and sits on the African tectonic plate.
Most Egyptologists and anthropologists, archaeologists of the Eurocentric persuasion will say that Egypt is in Africa. They had to concede that, but then they still draw the line by saying that they weren't Africans like that. In other words, they weren't dark-skinned people. And of course, this is all part of the Great Deception. And the reality is that if they give up Egypt, ancient Kemet, if they give that up and say that that was a part of Black Africa, then they will also have to give up Israel. And that's why they draw the line at Egypt, because if they give up Egypt, they've got to give up Israel.
Now, we're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you where Israel sits on the African tectonic plate, which means that Israel is Northeast Africa. Now, when we look at this map, this is the Sinai, okay? This is the Red Sea. This is Egypt. This is the Sinai. This is Israel. All right, this is Saudi Arabia over here. Now, if you see this in Hebrew, it says Haluach Africani, the African plate. Here it is right here. Israel is sitting right here. Israel is sitting on the Haluaka Africani, which means that Israel is northeast Africa.
Without question, we are in northeast Africa. We are landlocked to Egypt, with the exception of the Suez Canal, which was a man-made ditch, a boundary now between, in fact, it's not even really a boundary anymore since Egypt has reclaimed the Sinai Peninsula. But nevertheless, even those of us who are Pan-Africanists in our thinking and Afrocentric, we forget and we leave off that portion of northeast Africa and don't want to claim anything beyond that.
Europeans classified this area as the Middle East. You know, and then since this the Middle East, the other question, where the Middle West? Where the Middle North and where the Middle South? They don't have no geographical terms like that. And the only reason why they use that term, Middle East, because it disconnects the proper connotation that should go with describing this land geographically.
And then you can find this. These is from our brothers and sisters, the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem. They live in Dimona, Israel, in southern Israel. You can go to here and find them and find more videos. Okay, what is Pan-Africanism? What is Pan-Africanism? Pan-Africanism is the idea that peoples of African descent, hold on one second. Pan-Africanism is the idea that peoples of African descent have common interests and should be unified. Historically, Pan-Africanism has often taken the shape of a political or cultural movement. There are many varieties of Pan-Africanism. In its narrowest political manifestation, Pan-Africanists envision a unified African nation where all people of the African diaspora can live. African diaspora refers to the long-term historical process by which people of African descent have been scattered from their ancestral homelands to other parts of the world. In more general terms, Pan-Africanism is the sentiment that people of African descent have a great deal in common, a fact that deserves notice and even celebration. You can look that up in the Britannica, Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism, you'll see the colors red, black, and green, RBG, or red, black, and green. Pan-Africanism, the red, black, and green. This flag symbolizes the struggle for the unification and liberation of African people. Red stands for the blood that unites all of the people of African ancestry. Black represents the color of the skin of the people of Africa. Green stands for the rich land of Africa. Now, my question for my Pan-Africanists. Since Pan-Africanists are about the unification and liberation of African people, is it all African people on the African continent plate or just a chosen few? Since hopefully we are now gaining understanding that Israel is a part of Africa and is considered Northeast Africa, and that it sits on the African tectonic plate, we will update and start adding and supporting indigenous Israelite nation, which is a Afro Asiatic Hebrew Shemitic nation. Contrary to popular belief, the true nation of Israel is African/Afro Asiatic. So more correctly, we are Shemitic Africans because we are a descendant of Shem. That is on the African Edenic continent. My goal and dream is for us who are serious about Pan-Africanism to become true Pan-Africanists, in a sense to include all of Africa, including the African Shemitic nation of Israel, and no longer keep us in isolation and discriminate because of our different lifestyle, spirituality, belief, culture, tribes, etc. No more tribal war. We are distant relatives like Nas and Damian Marley. I am a Pan-Africanist and about the unification and liberation of all Africa, including Israel. I hope in 2016 we become updated and not delay the support and love to our African Israelite brothers and sisters and become allies. No side is perfect on the Pan-African side or the Hebrew Israelite side. Not all will agree or support, but we will spend our time and resources wisely to build with those who freely see the vision and the truth in it. So I say in the ancient Afro-Asiatic Hebrew language, Shalom. And I just want to show you true Pan-Africanism with Israel included, Pan-African Hebrew Israelites. You see the red, black, and green with Israel. That's what we're standing for. Fact, the land of Israel is Northeast Africa. The term Middle East is Eurocentric. So, I'm actually trying to start something. You know, I'm Uziyahu Ben Yehuda. I'm coming up with something. It's called the Afro Asiatic Hebrew Israelite of Shemitic descent, letting people know we are Shemitic Africans on the African continent. And so you see the red, the black, and the green. You see the Israel. You see the red, black, and green. You see Africa with the Middle East included, because I remember when I was young, that was all Africa. So I'm just trying to bring it back now. So I pray that this edify. I pray that this helps. I pray that we now can go forth claiming all of Africa. I pray that our brothers and sisters on the Pan-African side, I know we need to bridge this gap. I know there's been tension between the two sides. I hope that going forth, that there is no more hate, no more violence, none of that, that at least for those who can understand on the Kemet Pan-African side, those who can understand on the Hebrew side, that we are Afro Asiatic Hebrew Israelites of Shemitic descent. We are Shemitic Africans on the African continent. It shows that Israel is on the African tectonic plate. So I hope we can educate each other. So by 2017, when we have a Pan-African conference or something that's Pan-African, and we can see that we are African, and we start including and recognize Israel, ancient Israel, the Israelites, that we are Africans, and the struggles that we have been through going from Israel to Africa and brought here to the shores of America. So I just want to say thank you. I just want to say shalom, shalom, and peace.